It was a Tuesday in October, cold enough that the windows kept fogging at the edges. Around 1:40 a.m., my app pinged for a pickup near a closed grocery store on the edge of town. No profile photo, just a name. Caroline. I almost declined. Those empty parking lot pickups never felt right, and the rating was blank like the account had just been made. But it was slow and I was 20 minutes from home. One more ride. When I pulled in my headlights, swept across rows of abandoned carts, trash skittering in the wind. No one there. I checked the app. Pickup confirmed. Then I saw her. She was standing under the burned-out light, near the cart return, so still I hadn't noticed her at first. Mid-20s maybe. Long dark coat. Hair pushed across her face by the wind. No luggage. I rolled down the passenger window. Caroline. She nodded once and opened the back door without a word. The smell hit me immediately. Damp. Earthy. Like wet leaves left too long in a bag. Where to? I asked, trying to sound normal. She gave me an address on Briarwood Lane. I knew the street. Old houses. Some abandoned. A few burned in a fire years back. You visiting someone? I asked. No answer. I glanced in the rearview mirror. She was staring straight ahead, hands folded in her lap. Pale. Not sick pale. Just colorless, like she hadn't been in sunlight for a long time. The radio crackled and died. Great. We drove. After a few minutes I noticed something odd. Every time I checked the mirror, her face seemed a little lower, like she was slowly sinking into the seat. You okay back there? I asked. A pause. Then she said very softly, do you ever take people where they shouldn't go? I laughed a little. I just follow the GPS. I know, she said. Her reflection smiled, but I couldn't see her mouth move. I blinked and looked again. She was normal. Blank expression. Still, I told myself I was tired. Long shift. Too much coffee. We turned on a Briarwood. Half the streetlights were out. The houses sat back from the road like they were hiding. Her stop was near the end of the block. But the GPS did something strange. It kept moving. The destination pin slid past the houses, past the trees, and settled in the empty field behind the old foundations where homes had burned down. There's nothing back there, I said. That must be wrong. That's where I need to go, she replied. Her voice was closer now. I looked in the mirror. She was leaning forward, right behind me. I never heard her move. My hands tightened on the wheel. Look, I said, keeping my voice steady. I can drop you at the curb, but I'm not driving into a field. For a moment, she didn't respond. I could feel her breath near my ear. Cold, not just cool, freezing. Then she whispered, please. I don't want to walk alone again. Again. The word stuck with me. I pulled to the side of the road. Gravel crunched under the tires. Beyond us, the fields stretched into darkness, broken only by the faint shapes of old chimneys that had survived the fire. All on the ride here, I said. No charge. Silence. I waited for the door to open. Nothing. Finally, I turned. The seat was empty. The door was still closed. I felt my stomach drop, that sick elevator feeling. I checked the other side. Empty. No sound of footsteps. No figure walking toward the field. She was gone. Okay, I muttered. No. I grabbed my phone and the trip. But the ride was still active. And the map showed the passenger icon, no longer in my car. It was moving across the field. Fast. I watched the little dot travel between the burned foundations, heading toward the far tree line. My rating timer kept counting up like she expected me to follow. Then my phone buzzed with a message from the rider. Why did you stop? I stared at it, heart hammering. Another message came. You left me here last time too. My mouth went dry. I had never been on this street with anyone named Caroline. I would remember, wouldn't I? I typed back, hands shaking. I don't know you. The three dots appeared immediately. You drove me the night I died. A memory tried to surface. Something half-formed. A news report maybe. A girl missing after leaving a parking lot. Found near Briarwood. I had worked that week. God. The phone rang. Not through the app. An actual call. Unknown number. I shouldn't have answered. But I did. All I heard was wind at first. Then footsteps moving through grass. Then my own voice. Recorded. Calm. Distant. I'll end the ride here. No charge. Headlights flashed in my mirror. I jerked around expecting another car. There was nothing. When I looked back at my phone, the ride had ended by itself. 5 stars. Tip included. Passenger name changed. No longer Caroline. It now showed return trip. The pickup location updated. My current position. I locked the doors through the car in a drive and sped home, trying not to look at the back seat. I quit driving nights after that. Sometimes though, when my phone buzzes past 1:40 a.m., I swear I smell damp leaves. And I wonder how long she had been sitting behind me before I finally saw her. In late October 3 years back, I was hauling frozen goods from Des Moines to a distribution center outside Flagstaff. Easy run, tight schedule. My dispatcher, Rick Lawson, kept reminding me snow was expected in the mountains, so I pushed hard to make up time. By the time the sun dropped, I was already tired, eyes burning, shoulders stiff. I told myself I'd pull in the next truck stop, but the next exit came and went. Then the next one. Each sign said services, yet the ramps were blocked with cones or construction barriers. No workers, no equipment, just orange plastic glowing in my headlights. I remember muttering, fine, one more exit. That's when the CB cracked to life. I hadn't heard a voice on it for hours. Most drivers use apps now. The sudden burst of static made me jump. Eastbound reefer, a man said. His voice sounded old, strained, like he'd been yelling for a long time. You can't stop up ahead. I glanced at the dash. Nobody had my handle. Who is this? You passed them already, he continued, ignoring me. You were supposed to stop back there. Buddy, every ramp's closed. There was a long pause. I could hear his breathing through the speaker. Wet, uneven. They're never closed, he whispered. Then nothing. Just static. I tried to answer, but the channel was dead. I told myself it was a prank, some bored driver messing around. Still, my skin prickled. I checked my mirrors more than usual. The trailer lights glowed red behind me, steady normal. No cars, no other rigs. Just darkness rolling over low hills and the white lines flashing past. 10 miles later, I saw headlights in my side mirror. They came up fast, too fast. The truck slid in behind me, so close I couldn't see its grille, just twin beams flooding my cab. I tapped the brakes to warn him off. He didn't back up. If anything, he edged closer. I grabbed the CB. You riding my bumper, back off. No reply. The road ahead bent slightly, and for a second his lights shifted. In that moment, I saw something that made my stomach drop. There was no trailer, just a cab. An old one, maybe 70s or 80s, square hood, rust along the edges. And the windshield, it looked dark, like it was painted over from the inside. I couldn't see a driver. I sped up. So did he. I slowed down. Same thing. My pulse hammered in my ears. I told myself I was imagining things. Maybe the angle was wrong. Maybe the glass was tinted. Then his high beam shut off. Not dimmed. Off. But I could still see the shape of the truck, keeping pace in the moonlight, rolling in perfect silence. My CB hissed again. He found you, the old voice said. Who is he? I shouted. What do you want? You didn't stop, he replied. Now he thinks you're the one. The channel died, and the truck behind me turned on its interior light. I swear to God, I wish it hadn't, because there was someone sitting in the driver's seat, or what used to be someone. His head hung at an angle that made no sense, chin buried and his chest, neck twisted. His hands were wired to the steering wheel, not holding it, wired. I could see metal glinting wrapped through bone and skin. His mouth was open, so wide it looked torn, like he had been screaming for decades. Yet the truck drove perfectly straight. I slammed the accelerator, my engine roaring, speed climbing past what I should have pushed with that load. The other cab matched me inch for inch. Calm, patient. Then up ahead, I finally saw lights. A rest area. Open. Packed with trucks. Relief flooded through me, so hard I almost cried. I hit the ramp without signaling, tires whining, and barreled into the lot. I didn't even park straight. I threw the brakes, jumped out, and turned around. The highway behind me was empty. No headlights, no engine noise, nothing. A couple of drivers stared at me like I was crazy. One of them, a woman named Teresa, who I'd run into before, asked if I was okay. I must have looked wrecked. I told them some guy had chased me riding my bumper. They all glanced at each other. Teresa asked, "Rusty cab?" "No trailer." I felt my throat tighten. "Yeah." She nodded slowly. "Happens when you miss the old stop." "What old stop?" She pointed back toward the interstate. "Exit 214. Been there forever." I pulled out my phone, opened the map, zoomed in. There was no exit 214. We stood there in the cold wind, engines idling around us, and nobody said anything for a while. Finally, Teresa spoke. "Years ago, a driver fell asleep plowed through a family park to the diner there. Killed them all. Folks say he never stopped after that. Just keeps looking for someone to trade places with." I laughed. I had to. It was insane. But when I walked back to my truck, my heart nearly stopped. Wired to my driver's door handle, twisted tight around the metal, was a length of thin, rusty cable. And it hadn't been there before. I don't drive nights anymore. Lost the good routes because of it. Rick said I was overreacting. Maybe I am. But sometimes when traffic thins and the sky goes black, my CB still crackles with that same broken voice. "You were supposed to stop." I turn it off every time. I never look in my mirrors for long, because I'm terrified that one day I'll see that cab again, lights out, keeping pace. And this time, and then she asked a question that made my skin prickle. "Do you ever take people where they need to go?" she said, "even if it isn't where they asked." I forced a laugh. I tried to stick to the address. "I was afraid you'd say that." When we turned onto Mercer Avenue, she leaned forward slightly. "Please don't stop right at the house," she whispered. "Pull a little ahead." "What?" "I don't want him to see." "See who?" But she'd already leaned back again. We rolled toward 1420. My stomach dropped. The place was dark, windows boarded, police tape sagging across the porch. I slowed anyway. "Is this it?" I asked. No answer. I looked in the mirror. The back seat was empty. I slammed the brakes so hard the tires barked against the pavement. The car jolted. My heart hammered up into my throat. I twisted around in my seat. No one. The door hadn't opened. I would have heard it. The child locks were on. There was nowhere she could have gone. But the upholstery behind me was soaked. Water pooled in the seat, dripping down onto the floor mat like she'd been sitting there for hours. I grabbed my phone, hand shaking, and turned on the interior light. The cab glowed harsh yellow. Empty. "Okay," I muttered. "Okay, Aaron, get it together." Maybe I'd imagined it. Maybe I'd picked someone up earlier and forgot. But I could still hear her voice. Calm. Close. I looked out at the house again. 1420 Mercer. Boarded. Abandoned. Definitely not somewhere anyone lived. I should have driven off right then. Instead, I did the worst possible thing. I got out. The night air felt colder than it should have. No wind. Just quiet. The kind that presses against your ears. I walked a few steps toward the porch, mostly to prove to myself this was real. Police tape fluttered weakly. There was an old notice stapled near the door. I raised my phone and read it. Condemned after flood damage. Fatality recorded. My mouth went dry. A date sat beneath it. October 17th. 3 years earlier. I heard movement behind me. Water sloshing. I turned slowly. My taxi's back door was open. I knew I had locked it. A wet footprint pressed into the street beneath the door, fresh and shining under the light. Then another. They led away from the cab. Not toward the house. Toward me. I backed up, pulse roaring in my ears. "No," I whispered. "No, no." The prints kept forming one after another, as if invisible feet were stepping down into the asphalt. They stopped inches from mine. I could smell river water. Mud. Rot. Something brushed past my shoulder. Cold enough to burn. A voice hovered near my ear. "You stopped in the wrong place." I bolted. I don't remember getting into the car. I just remember the engine screaming as I tore down the street, not caring about speed limits, not caring about anything except distance. The radio crackled back to life halfway across town. Dispatch asked why I had cleared the job without payment. I couldn't answer. When I finally pulled into a gas station, I stumbled out and looked in the back seat again. Dry. Completely dry. No water. No footprints. Nothing. I told myself it had been stress. Exhaustion. My brain playing tricks. Until I checked the trip log. The meter showed a pickup at Briarwood. 1 passenger. Destination, 1420 Mercer Avenue. Paid in cash. I never went back to night driving after that. Sometimes though, when I'm almost asleep, I hear the back door open. And someone settling into the seat behind me, waiting for me to stop in the right place.